Welcome to another episode of The Raw Truth. And welcome to part 2 of Breaking News, where I continue listening to and commenting on the conversation between my son's mother and my son. Welcome to part 2. So let's continue.
I just wanted to watch some Collins game.
The whole thing about it is that, like, you tell me that I have to educate myself. I have educated myself. I have done my homework. I have done my research. And I already know what I know.
She did the research. She's educated herself. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she knows. Does that sound like a person that did any research when you say, I know what I know? No. You know what you know. You don't know the facts. So you sitting here quoting that Fox News which is a Republican station, as we all know, never sides with Trump. The ignorance is astounding.
But we should still help.
I understand wanting to help other people, but we can't even save ourselves. If we keep outsourcing our resources to everyone else, that makes us, in the homeland, weaker.
Okay, one, we don't outsource our resources. Companies and corporations outsource their labor. We sell our resources. That's what economy is for. And homeland? Who sounds like that? Not Americans. Russians. The motherland. Let's continue.
And if we get to the point where we're too weak, our guard will be down.
So how are we going to get too weak? By selling our resources. We make more money. We buy more stuff. We build more. Isn't that how the economy works?
Our guard is down. Things like 9/11 terrorist attacks happen.
Oh, okay. So because our guard is down, somehow by selling our resources like every other country does, that's how 9/11 happened?
Where thousands of people have to die at one time
before we continue, guess where she goes with this next? And guess who she blames 9/11 on? It's faint, but you got to hear what she says and understand what she says and what it means. Because you'll never guess who she blames 9/11 on.
They realize maybe we should pull back a little. They don't pay attention to those kind of things.
So she just said, we need to pull back a little bit, and it took 9/11 to teach us that. So what's she saying? She's saying it's our fault that the attack on 9/11 happened because we keep putting our nose where it don't belong. So you just justified 9/11 being our fault? Ooh, not good.
It's all fine and dandy for us to be able to help everyone else, for us to have our troops stationed in Afghanistan and Pakistan and have them over in Korea and have them, it's perfectly fine.
Okay. The ignorance is just astounding. Our troops are all over the country and all over the world as a line of defense. The countries they're in, they have to go through our troops to get to us. Do you know how long it would take to get to Afghanistan if they decided to attack us? Or North Korea, or China, or Budapest, anybody. You know how long it would take for us to get to them if they were coming to us to attack? We already got bases there. So if they attempt to attack that base or us, the military is in a position to defend us and keep the fight off American soil. The reason why our country is as strong as it is because they used smart military tactics. Our military went to their countries, their lands, to do the fighting. I can't remember the last fight we had on our soil, on American soil. other than the Civil War and those kind of wars. Like, I think World War One and Two was fought in another country because we didn't let it come to this country because we went to them. Now our military's already there, so if a war breaks out, guess what? We're already there to fight.
Perfectly acceptable to do those things.
Do we even have any allies
But
at
when
this
you
point?
make the homeland,
Again with the homeland shit.
guess what happens? You become vulnerable. And when you become vulnerable, do you know what happens? People attack.
Yes, but
Pearl
if we've
Harbor.
helped other people,
Uh-huh.
they are going to feel grateful
Ignorance.
about that. And if they don't, then they're selfish.
Yeah. They are all, honey, you might have pure intentions.
But what if
You
someone
might have-
else?
You might have pure intentions, and that might be the culture that you've been brought up in.
Now, for the record, she's the one raising him. I'm helping, but she's the one raising him. So the culture he's being raised in is by her. The whole reason why he is conflicting with her is because he sees through her ignorance, selfishness, xenophobia, and race. And she also sees through her bigotry. Because my son is not a racist. He's not a bigot. And he's definitely not a selfish child. He can be selfish. But he wishes he could help others more than himself. But everybody at one given time, I want what I want. I'm going to get what I want first. And he's 11. So he's going to make the mistake of sometimes going after what he wants first and not paying much attention to who he might potentially harm in the process. Because he's still young. As he gets older, and I'll make him the man he's meant to be, and then some, he will learn to do this, where he thinks about other people before he does anything. I mean, not as much as he should perhaps, but he definitely will be doing a lot more than she is.
But the reality is, all these people in politics don't care about you. They don't care about
But
you.
when you
They
think
don't care
about
about
it,
you. They don't care about me. They don't care about your dad. They don't care about nobody. They don't care about nobody but themselves.
Okay, I disagree completely. Our government cares more about themselves and their money and power than they do us. But they're not stupid. They know without us, they don't exist. So they care about us enough to give us a slice of bread and some cheese so we don't starve. We're at the bare minimum of food. They know they got to do at least that.
That's why each member of Congress makes over $250,000 a year. Not one of them has to pay taxes.
so you're telling me if you were that country who we're funding money to save them from being bombed or attacked, and you're saying you wouldn't care? You're
She
saying
needs
you
to listen
wouldn't
to
care
this
about
shirt.
another country who literally just supplied your country with money to save you from being attacked, and you wouldn't care because everyone there is selfish? So you're saying you wouldn't care about it?
No, if you have a laughing stock of the entire earth, no, I'm not gonna care.
Why?
Okay, again, we're not the laughingstock of the entire earth. The countries and their citizens still want to be just like us. The reason why they quote unquote hate us is because they want what we have. They want our freedom, they want our power, they want our control, they want our influence, they want our clothes, they want our culture. So they don't hate us. They just hate they can't be us. And I'm not trying to put ourselves on some kind of pedestal because I don't think what we are is on a pedestal. But to them, we are. We're bred when they're starving. So a slice of bread to a starving person is like God sent. I disagree, but they don't. That's why most of those countries want to dress like us, want to act like us, want to watch our shows, want to recreate our shows, but they don't get it. We recreate some of their shows too. Like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Isn't an American show. We took it from them and recreated it here in America. Now, for those of you who don't know Whose Line Is It Anyways is, it's an improv show that they had and we recreated. But we do a lot of procreation of each other's culture. And we give credit where credit's due for the most. She's just a bigot.
Because you're dumb enough to give me the money, why should I care?
Sounds like a gold digger to me. And I know her best. She's a gold digger. She thinks I don't pay her enough in child support. And she wants more and more and more and more. She's greedy.
Because they just helped you.
That's how those people operate.
But that's death or live.
That's how
That
they
was a life or
operate.
death situation right there. And they just helped you live.
That's how
Don't
those
you want to
people
keep your
operate.
life?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because they know we ain't gonna throw nuclear bombs on nobody.
First off, back into this again. We all have nukes for one reason. Mad. For those of you who know what that means, I don't have to explain it to you, but for those who don't, it's mutually assured destruction. We have nukes, they have nukes. They know if they let off theirs, we're going to let off ours, and we're both going to get blown up. Because before their missiles hit us, our missiles will be in the air and landing on them. So they know we will bomb them. They know we will attack them. They watch what we did to Iraq and many other places. So they're very afraid of someone, especially like Donald Trump, going tss, hitting the button. So she's just trying to win this argument with the 11-year-old to put herself on some kind of well-known pedestal. Like, I know it all. I'm special. I know what I'm talking about. But she just sounds like an ignorant mule.
They know we're not gonna come after nobody.
But still, if you were that
The
country
problems
and you just got funded to stay
the
alive,
problems that we have. I understand what you're saying, but I'm telling you, from a financial standpoint, from a federal governmental standpoint, they don't care. They do not care. Everyone is out for themselves. They all grew up in the me generation. It's all about me, 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 me. They don't care.
First off, this is the me generation. Okay? This is the generation that's selfish. This is the generation that thinks that the society and parents and life owes them something. Not the generation of people in power. Generation of people in power are my generation. And my generation aren't the me generation. That's this generation, her generation. As you notice, her whole entire argument is a selfish argument, which is me argument. But she's acting like she's on a high horse and the rest of society is a me generation.
Care? They don't care. They're taking advantage of the young people because the young people are gullible enough to stand up and say, no, they really do want to make peace and they want to make change. No, they don't.
then why do we have allies?
If they did want to stand up and make peace and make change, then everyone would have a democracy.
Sad little girl. Okay, Google. How many democratic societies are there?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
No, I'll ask the question again. Okay, Google. How many democratic countries are there?
Here's a summary from the website en.wikipedia.org. It is self-described as intending to measure the state of democracy in 167 countries.
167 countries. Okay, Google. How many countries are in the world?
195. On the websites of science.com, they say, the number of countries in the world according to the UN. There is a grand total of 195 sovereign states in the world today.
There's 195 sovereign states and 167 are democratic. So she's right. There's so many. We put those countries that are communist or otherwise not democratic, we keep them in check. That's what the United States has been doing for hundreds of years. Like Russia and China, we keep them in check so they don't take their communism outside their country. the best that we can. Hence the foreign aid and our military forces all over the world. This bitch is stupid.
There wouldn't be communist countries, and there wouldn't be Muslim countries, and there wouldn't be
Muslim countries. Here we go again with this fucking bigotry. Okay, it's not a Muslim country. Muslim is not a race. Muslim is a religion. Poor girl. Everyone is welcome to their own religion. There's other religions that are just like the Muslim religion. She ain't talking shit about them. Find out what kind of religious faith that China goes by. Figure out what religious faith Russia goes by. Yes, I know there's two communist countries, but this is my point. What do they go by? Because it definitely ain't Christianity.
no, they have democracies. Nobody has one.
You hear it? Nobody else has a democracy but us. What the fuck is wrong with her?
Like how we do here in the United States. Nobody has it.
First off, all 167 countries have the exact similar democracy as ours. Their country isn't as developed as ours. Their countries aren't as rich as ours. Their countries aren't as powerful as ours. But they have the exact same democracy, which they vote for their leaders. Legitimately, in most cases.
Don't have it here either.
I get what you're saying.
There's a
and
lot
I
of people against
understand-
each other.
And I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from. But I'm saying it's very naive.
But still,
It's very naive
Which one of them is naive?
to think that those people are gonna care. We're not gonna care.
but not everyone is like that.
Do you know where
Ignorance is bliss.
you know what kind of people come from Israel?
Here we go.
You know the Hasidic Jews that are up in Lakewood?
Yeah,
Here we
See
go.
how they treat you?
yeah,
They say you see how they treat everybody around you?
yeah.
Guess what the
Anti-Semitic
homeland is?
crap.
Israel. They don't care. Look at this. They don't care about you. They don't care about nobody. They care about themselves. They care about taking over. That's why they want to take advantage. They've taken advantage of the system the entire time that they've been here.
The entire time that they've been here. You mean like everyone else in this country? Listen, everybody likes Trump, that does it anyway, because they wish they could do what he does, manipulate the system. He's manipulated the system like anyone else that found the loopholes and rules and ways to bend the truth. Anti-Semitic attitude is just ridiculous. I wish I could play this for her, but I can't because she doesn't know it exists. And I don't want to get our son in trouble. He felt the need to defend himself, so he recorded the conversation and showed it to me. And now I'm being appalled by listening to it.
Do you know
But
that
what
if
if
you
they
go to-
have been
do you know
thought
that
that
if you go
we
to
are
Home
like
Depot
that?
in Lakewood, you only have to pay 3% tax instead of 8% sales tax, like you do throughout the whole rest of the state of New Jersey? Did you know that? Same thing when you go to the grocery store. Same thing when you go to all the clothing stores. It's only 3% sales tax there. Did you know?
Okay, first off, this is why I say she's an ignorant bitch. There is no sales tax on clothes or food in the state of New Jersey. So what is she talking about? There's only sales tax on goods like prepared meals, jewelry, radios, TVs, non-essential stuff. But bread, milk, eggs, non-prepared food, and clothes have no sales tax. So what the fuck is this silly bitch talking about?
No, you didn't know, did you? Yeah, that's because those people have rigged the system.
Those
They're
people.
ripping us off. I was 19
More
years
bigotry.
old, and I just had a baby, and I went there asking Board of Social Services to please give me help because I needed food stamps, and I needed to be able to take care of my kid. and I asked them for help. And they told me no. They told me I wasn't allowed to get help. I was too young to have help. They made
His grandparents paid.
responsible for you for the first 3 years of your life. I wasn't allowed to get help. Don't rip it. Don't. I'll stand up. Don't rip it.
But still,
Uh-huh.
why wouldn't they do something? We helped them.
Uh-huh.
We helped them.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean something? Why not?
Because we're not them. We don't have their same beliefs. We don't believe what they believe. We don't do what they do. We're not them. They
Then
don't
why do we
care.
have allies? One,
The xenophobic bigotry, stereotypical racism is appalling. The regular Jewish, which aren't Hasidic, they're really no different than any other religion or people. The Hasidic Jews, for the most part, are just like us as well, but they have a different culture that she's essentially bashing, and trying to make them out to be the bad guy. No, they aren't. That's just bigotry. Now, all cultures are different. Listen, I found out today that, let's see. Give me 1 second. I found out today I'm Irish, Scottish, also from Wales, Southern Italian, which is Sicilian, Northern Italian, Germanic, I'm illiterate, European, Sweden, Greece and Albania, European Jewish, France or French, also English and Northern European, Middle Eastern, it says Middle East, so I'm assuming that's Middle Eastern, and something I can't pronounce, Balkans, never heard of them. So, I have nothing directly in common with most of those because I live an American lifestyle. But that's not race. That's the environment and lifestyle of where you're at. Her variation of the situation is just xenophobic, racist, stereotypically racist, and just angry.
why? If everyone only cares about themselves and we are apparently trash, then how did we get allies? How did we get people who actually support us?
Because we pay them. The government pays them.
But we're paying the other country. So you're telling me that since we're paying the other country, they're not going to be
That's
allies
not the
with us?
deal.
So, I'll let her continue. But she's saying our allies are our allies because we bought them. We have a paying agreement that they're our allies. I mean, I guess she doesn't know what the definition of allies are. Your allies in your community exchange money and resources to keep each other alive. Me and one of my brothers, we, in a previous video I mentioned again, we lived on the street. We took care of one another. I went and got food while he slept, or I watched him while he slept and made sure nothing happened to him, and he did the same for me. Did he buy my loyalty? No. It was a common exchange. Watch how she tries to play a game and my son one-ups her and proves her point against her, and she just talks mumbly.
But if we have allies because we're paying them, now we're paying another country, wouldn't they become allies with us as well?
No, that's not the deal.
Okay, so apparently we have deals with each country, or some countries, that we pay them to be allies, but other countries we pay for what reason then? Under her pretenses, if we're paying these countries to be our allies, why aren't the other countries or the new countries that she's complaining we have new countries we're paying for, why aren't we paying for their alliance? Oh, it's not part of the deal. First off, if that's what we were doing, paying countries for their alliance, then every country we give any money and support to, we'd be paying for their alliance too. But she just doesn't want to admit that, and she starts talking out her ass. It's part of the deal. Fucking idiot.
Their government would have to sign a treaty with our government.
Okay, first off, does the bitch even know what the fucking word treaty means? Let's use Google. Okay, Google. What's the definition of treaty?
Here's the definition of treaty. A formally concluded and ratified agreement between countries.
So, you have to have something to form a treaty. We're giving support for people in need. Isn't that considered charity? And if we get something in return, like their help later down the road, or a trade deal where they start buying certain goods of ours, and we have a trade deal going on, that's not exactly a treaty. And so-called alliance would be part of that, wouldn't it? Dumbass.
It's not likely to happen.
Not likely to happen.
But why should I pay someone else? There's
Because
people right here who need us, who need our money, who need our finances right here.
So why don't you tell your government to take care of it,
11
woman?
million illegal immigrants they want to make legal.
Here we go again with this racism. So we make 11 million undocumented, documented. That means they've already been here and already doing whatever the hell they're gonna be doing already. All we're doing is changing their title from undocumented, documented. That's all that's changing. Which means if they're here working their ass off, which most of them are, then they'll continue to work their ass off. That's why they're here. We're just giving them citizenship in this country, if that's even what's taking place. They are important to this country as much as natural born Americans. We're a melting pot of races and cultures. She's trying to get rid of an entire race and culture. But if you notice, she's not saying Mexicans. She's saying immigrants. But we both know who she's talking about.
11 million.
Because the 11 million number is the reported number of illegal Mexican immigrants in this country. It's funny how that number matches, but she doesn't use the word Mexican.
Here illegally.
yes,
America is the only country in the entire world where you don't get gunned down for being illegal.
yes.
Instead, you get a business and citizenship, and we give you money.
Really? Tell it to all the immigrants that were trying to come to this country under the Trump administration, that were gunned down, that were beaten, that were had female version of vasectomies, and their children taken from them, and them being put in prison for trying to seek asylum in this country. Why don't she go talk to those people? Fucking bigot. Sorry.
Yes.
For free.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing.
Because
But
we are
now,
unselfish.
not only are you gonna make all of these immigrants legal, but now also we're gonna be outsourcing more money.
But they're
You're
people.
How do you outsource fucking money? Money is not a resource that can be outsourced. Fucking idiot.
You're taking away our jobs. You're giving out more money.
Taking away our jobs. That has nothing to do with immigration. Corporations are sending the jobs overseas to save themselves money on taxes and labor. That has nothing to do with immigration. Such ignorance.
People aren't gonna have resources. Nobody's gonna have anything. Mark my words, we're gonna go through a Great Depression one more time.
I'm already going through a depression because she's making me fucking depressed.
Because clearly we didn't get it the first time.
But those are still people.
Okay, Google. How many depressions had the United States have?
According to Wikipedia, there have been as many as 47 recessions in the United States dating back to the Articles of Confederation, and although economists and historians dispute certain 19th century recessions, the consensus view among economists and historians is that the cyclical volatility of GDP and unemployment was greater before them.
So we've had 47 recessions. Okay, Google. How many depressions has the United States had?
According to Wikipedia, there have been as many as 47 recessions in the United States
Okay,
dating
Google.
back to the
Shut up. So we're gonna go with 47 recessions, and she's stating it like we have only had one or two, and we didn't learn our lesson. She doesn't know how the economy works. Bet you she believes because the stock market's up or down, that's our our economy. No. Ignorance. So much for doing her research and studying and getting all this shit lined up.
Those are people.
It's
Those are
fine.
human beings.
Okay.
Those are lives. Living things.
Okay.
Why would we just discard them?
I'm not talking about discarding them.
Yes, you are.
There is no current active threat on the country, just so you're aware.
But if they're taking our jobs, then that's apparently a threat. Because if they're taking the jobs, then we don't get funded.
Smart kid.
But
All of our jobs are already being outsourced. They're taking all of our manufacturing and paying it back to China.
Idiot.
We're going to be paying China all over again for all of our manufacturing.
we took over Britain.
No.
Okay. Number one, almost everything in this fucking country on the back says made in China. And has for over 50 years now. We buy from them. Almost everything in my room. This laptop. This stream deck. That light. This microphone. This cell phone. The keyboard. My shoes, for Christ's sake. This mouse. That monitor over there. This green screens. Most of them say made in Taiwan, China, or some foreign country, not America. Now don't get me wrong, there's still stuff being manufactured in the United States, but most of our assets of things we buy are from other countries because they either make it better or cheaper. Such a shame. On that note, I'm going to end. It's 10:20 at night on the 12th of January. Have a good night. Please comment, like, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this conversation, this story. I don't know what really to make of it besides she's a racist, a bigot. I'm surprised she didn't bring sex into this. Hypocrite. You name it, she is it. Except apparently she's not sexist, because I didn't hear one shit talking about males versus female, which was shocking. But on that note, everybody have a good night, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. Bye.